The untold story of female giants, what the Bible reveals about their brutal love lives. In a world where myths dance with reality and shadows hide secrets as old as time, one astonishing truth lurks behind the pages of the Bible. Giants, those colossal figures, whose names echo like thunder across history, were not just brute enforcers of terror. Oh no, they were entangled in tales of love that were as fierce and unforgiving as their stature. Picture this: towering women whose hearts were both a blessing and a curse. These female giants wielded power, beauty, and an intensity that could ignite the very heavens. Have you ever wondered what desires bubbled beneath their massive, imposing exteriors? What tragic choices led them to realms of heartbreak? From the whispers of ancient scrolls, one shocking fact emerges: these women were not mere legends, they were real, and their loves were as tempestuous as the storms they created. Meet the daughters of the fallen angels, creatures born of divine chaos, a blend of celestial allure and earthy anger. Scriptures speak of their beauty, bewitching enough to ensnare the hearts of men, yet marred by destinies shaped by violence and sorrow. Imagine the sun setting, casting an orange glow on the battlefield, where one of these giants stands, her silhouette trembling under the weight of her own sorrow. It's a haunting image, isn't it? She longs for love but finds only despair, shackled by her own fate. The echoes of laughter twist into screams, and the blood of betrayal paints the land. How could such powerful figures face such heart-wrenching tragedies? As tales unfold, watch how the air thickens with tension, how mothers weep for their lost daughters, how fathers turn cold in their grief. One hopeful spark flickers in the gloom: if their love lives held such depth, what about the untold stories still waiting to be discovered? Before we continue, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the shadows deepen, the thought lingers like a ghost: were their tragic tales of love, loss, and yearning merely echoes of a world long gone, or do these giant women still exist in whispers of our history? What unseen power do they hold in our present? Could their brutal love lives still affect our world today? With hearts pounding and breaths held, we move closer to answers, or deeper into the mystery. As night fell, the air around the battlefield grew thick with a heavy silence. Mist curled around the craggy stones, casting an eerie veil over the ground soaked in history and sorrow. Shadows stretched, forming grotesque shapes in the dim light of the moon, illuminating the lingering presence of the giants who once roamed this land. Drawn by an indescribable force, a lone figure emerged from the mist: a giantess, her figure both awe-inspiring and tragic. Her name was Nefaria, and the weight of her past bore down on her like a 10-ton boulder. Long silvery hair spilled over her shoulders like a cascading waterfall, glinting in the moonlight. But her eyes, those deep pools of sorrow and strength, revealed the truth of her tumultuous heart. She was a creature of love, trapped in a world that tormented her with loss. The whispers of her lovers haunted her. Each echo a reminder of joy followed by betrayal, of laughter twisted into screams. Nefaria had once known love so fierce it could rival the storms swirling above. Deep in her heart lay a cherished memory, a man forged in battle, his name as legendary as hers. They shared stolen moments beneath the stars, each touch igniting a fire that left scorch marks on her soul. Yet, with love came envy, a poison that seeped into their lives like a creeping vine. Betrayal had snatched him from her grasp, his heart claimed by the same jealousy that once burned between them. Why? She whispered into the cold night, her voice carried into the void. The ghosts of the past were relentless, tormenting her with what could have been. Would love always elude her like a cruel joke? Meanwhile, on the edge of the battlefield, a peculiar sound broke the silence. A rustle, a faint whisper carried on the wind. Nefaria squinted into the darkness, a surge of instinct prickling her spine. Was someone watching her? Her heart raced, uncertainty washing over her as she tightened her grip around her sword, its cold metal a reminder of her strength. Suddenly, a figure stepped forward, a stranger cloaked in the tattered remnants of what once may have been a noble warrior's garb. He moved cautiously, his presence trembling with urgency. "Please," he croaked, glancing at her with wide, frightened eyes. "I mean no harm. I come with a message." Nefaria's resolve faltered for a moment. Curiosity, mixed with a hint of skepticism, gnawed at her. "A message?" she echoed, her voice laced with tension. Regardless of her towering presence, she felt small, vulnerable, caught in a web of hope and despair. "What could you possibly know of me or my suffering?" His gaze flickered with understanding, then flared with a desperate intensity. "It's about your love and opportunity for revenge against those who betrayed you. You can regain what was stolen from you, but time is short." A whirlwind of emotions collided within her, a desire for redemption, the ache of her losses, the flicker of hope that had been extinguished long ago. But would revenge bring her peace or plunge her deeper into torment? Just as questions swirled in her mind, a sharp howl pierced the silence of the night. Nefaria's heart raced. Someone was near, and they were hunting. Was she ready to confront her past and unleash the fury of the giants? Or would the specters of her lost love continue to gnaw at her, binding her to a fate of endless sorrow? The choice was looming, with the weight of her decision thrumming in her chest. She took a hesitant step forward, the unknown calling to her like a siren. What awaited her in the shadows? What secrets would she unearth? And with that, a new chapter of her saga began, a path beset with danger and promise. Would she risk everything to reclaim what was taken from her, or would she walk away from the precipice of destruction? Only time would tell. The howl echoed again, sending a shiver down Nefaria's spine. It was close now, closer than she realized. Shadows danced like whispers around her, beckoning and warning all at once. She could almost feel the breath of whatever hunted in the night, a chilling reminder of how easily darkness could consume her hope. "Listen to me," the stranger urged, his voice trembling with urgency. "You have to trust me. There are forces at work here beyond your understanding, dark rivals who are searching for you, for that very love you lost." Nefaria studied him, her skepticism battling curiosity. What could this frail figure know about her heart? But his wide eyes resonated with truth, and from deep within her, a flicker of something long forgotten sparked. Could it be hope? Just behind him, a flicker of movement drew her gaze. Thick, monstrous shapes emerged from the dense fog, their forms twisted and monstrous, eyes gleaming like shards of glass. A knot formed in her throat, the urge to retreat wrestling with the fierce need to protect her past. "Get back!" she shouted, brandishing her sword, its blade catching the moonlight like a beacon. The aura of power radiated from her towering frame, despite the uncertainty flooding her being. The stranger fell back, terror written across his features. "They're not here for you. Not yet. They seek an advantage, something they believe you can give them." His voice strained under the weight of his words, urgency lacing every syllable. As the creatures prowled closer, howling into the night, Nefaria's heart drummed a frantic rhythm. She knew too well the poison of jealousy that had cost her everything. But would engaging with these beings bring her freedom, or further bind her to the chains of anguish? In an instant, the largest shadow lunged forward, a grotesque figure with gnarled limbs and twisted features. Nefaria, rooted to the spot by the chill coursing through her, felt a flicker of fear, but it was quickly stifled by an overwhelming fire. Revenge. The idea roared to life within her. Though the creatures hunted her, they also represented the very betrayal that had shattered her heart. With a fierce battle cry, she charged, determination surging with every step. The sword clanged against a creature's twisted body as she swung, her heart racing not with fear, but a primal urge to reclaim her power. The figure she once thought weak was now shouting in solidarity at her side, offering advice on how to outmaneuver the thrashing beasts. Together, they fought against a tide of darkness, each slash of her sword propelling her deeper into the very coil of vengeance that had ensnared her heart. But just as the tide seemed to shift in their favor, she noticed something in the distance, lights piercing the mist, figures emerging like specters from her memories. More are coming. Her companion cried, fear creeping back into his voice. The ones who betrayed you, they have not forgotten. Nefaria paused, a sinking realization washing over her. Would she find herself lost in this cycle of revenge, or could she turn it to reshaping her destiny? Before she could respond, a sharp crack of thunder roared above them, and a bolt of lightning lit up the sky. Within that instant of blinding light, she saw his face, the lost love she had grieved, his betrayal etched forever into her mind. Will I be forever shackled to my pain, or can I rise above it? She whispered, her heart heavy with the weight of choices yet to come. Behind her, the creatures snarled, the enemies disoriented by the flash, giving her a brief window to decide her fate. In that moment, Nefaria understood revenge wasn't merely a path of destruction, but a whisper of justice, an opportunity to reclaim not just her power, but her lost love. As she faced the approaching darkness, hands clenched around her sword, a question lingered: how far was she willing to go? Would she harness the strength of her sorrow to produce an unstoppable force, or fall victim to the very jealousy she aimed to vanquish? With those thoughts swirling like a storm inside her, she steeled herself for the confrontation ahead. What fate awaited her on this twisted path of vengeance? The night was just beginning to unveil its secrets, and she was ready to unlock them. The shadows shifted, their forms swirling with an energy that gnawed at Nefaria's resolve. The howls grew louder, echoing like a sinister chorus promising bloodshed. Every instinct screamed at her to flee, but her grip on the hilt of her sword tightened. Focus! The stranger shouted, offering a nod of encouragement. It was a small gesture, but the fire in his eyes ignited a flicker of defiance within her. Nefaria's feet moved as if propelled by the memories that haunted her, memories of laughter and joy now tinged with betrayal. She charged again, the weight of her heartache surging through her veins. The creatures lunged, snapping jaws barely missing her as she spun, her sword slicing through the air. A creature fell, its howl morphing into a gurgle of surprise, but the victory felt hollow. For every beast she felled, two more surged forward, grotesque and relentless. Stay close! She yelled to the stranger, who scrambled to match her pace, barely avoiding the lunging beasts. The mist thickened, swirling around them and obscuring their vision. Nefaria could feel her pulse racing, the thrill of the battle mingling with a deep-seated dread. Glimpses of flickering lights pulled at her focus, each promising danger and familiarity in equal measure. Another loud crack of thunder rumbled overhead, striking the air like a warning. No! She screamed above the cacophony. Not them. But there they were, the faces emerging from the shadows. Betrayers. Friends turned foes, those who had watched her fall and had done nothing to catch her. In that moment, despair twisted her heart like a knife wedged deep, bringing her to her knees as the weight of revenge pressed down hard. Nefaria. The stranger's voice cut through her fog of anger and pain. They want to rattle you. Don't let them see you falter. But how could she stand when the very fabric of her life unraveled before her? The memories weighed heavy, each regret a stone tied around her neck. What do I do? She breathed, her voice cracking. Fight! Fight for the love they stole! He shouted, urgency turned to a battle cry. Fire ignited once more. She shot to her feet, a renewed sense of purpose clawing its way back. The fear, the doubt they might keep her momentarily paralyzed, but they could not conquer her. With a war cry that resonated across the dark realm, she launched herself at the oncoming specters of her past. Clashing steel rang out, and as Nefaria fought, her movements became a symphony of strength and grief twisted together. Each swing, each parry, was laced with the memories of what could have been. The figures around her fell, yet their betrayal echoed in every strike, reminding her that revenge burned just as fiercely as love. Yet, amid the chaos, the stranger stayed by her side, battling alongside her with a resolve that mirrored her own. Small victories turned into a collective force, lighting up the dark. Together, they became a whirlwind, a dance of determination against overwhelming odds. Then, as if summoned by her will, a voice broke through the storm. Nefaria. It was so familiar that it knocked the breath from her lungs, soft yet imposing, like a cool breeze against a blazing inferno. The last thing she expected was to hear it now, amidst the madness, echoing through time and space. Her heart seized, torn between hope and dread. Was this a trick, or could this be the one she had lost? Desperation clawed at her throat as she searched the haze, her pulse quickening. "Don't get distracted," the stranger warned, but the voice continued, swirling wonder through her veins. With one last glance, Nefaria steadied herself and engaged a creature bearing down on her, the echoes of betrayal and longing uniting in her heart like a battle song. She swung her sword with intensified ferocity, all the while her mind racing with a single hope: could redemption be found within the chaos? Was there a chance to forge a different path, amidst the ruin? Then she felt it, an unmistakable presence against the tide of shadows. The question hung heavy in the air: could she reclaim not just her power but her heart as well? As the fight raged on, Nefaria felt a longing to turn and face the voice behind her, a beacon beckoning her home. But in the depths of the fray, she understood the battle wasn't just outside, it was within. Would she dare confront both her past and the darkness clamoring for her now? And as the shadows closed in once more, a new howl erupted from the depths of the mist, a sound both familiar and foreign. What awaited her next could either be her salvation or her ultimate destruction. Could she navigate the storm, or would she be consumed by it? The answer lingered just out of reach. With the howl reverberating in the air, Nefaria felt her breath hitch. It was as though the shadows recognized the voice. For a heartbeat, the grotesque creatures hesitated, swirling around her as if caught between realms. Their eyes glinted with a knowing hunger, and the atmosphere thickened, infused with a strange, restless energy. "Nefaria," the voice called again, and the shadows shivered, almost retreating, revealing fleeting glimpses of figures she had lost, friends, allies, moments washed in joy, now all wrapped in betrayal, as if they were familiar yet fractured puzzle pieces. "Can you hear me?" The voice sliced through the clamor, each word mingling with the scent of ozone and the metallic tang of blood-soaked earth. It pierced through Nefaria's heart, pulling her viscerally towards a past she thought lost. Torn between the fight and her desperate need for connection, she froze for a split second. "Focus." The stranger's voice snapped her back. "Don't let them take you. Fight." With a surge of determination, Nefaria hurled herself back into the fray. The creatures surged once more, hungry to consume her grief. Their twisted forms lunged, snapping teeth, hungry for her flesh. She swung her sword with renewed force, carving through flesh and bone, each strike heavy with the weight of every memory she was fighting for and against, but the creatures were relentless. For every one she felled, a dozen more emerged from the mists, as if darkness could spawn endlessly. Heart pounding, Nefaria fought, feeling the sheer weight of despair pressing on her chest like a vice. "What do you want from me?" she screamed into the darkness. "Your heart." The voice echoed back, now clearer, and, with it, arrived undeniable recognition. "Your heart, Nefaria. It's buried beneath the pain." The shadows recoiled momentarily, and in that fleeting moment of hesitation, Nefaria felt a flicker of hope. "No more!" she roared, channeling all the confusion and heartache back into her strikes. Infusing every movement with the strength of her resolve, she carved out a space amidst the chaos. But there was a cost. With each swing, Nefaria realized how the weight of her past fueled the darkness around her. She was fighting for not just revenge but for redemption. The line blurred: if she embraced her heartache, could she harness its power instead of letting it drown her? And then, unexpectedly, the ground trembled beneath her feet, a pulsing rhythm that echoed the heartbeat of the battlefield. The shadows hissed and withdrew slightly, as if sensing a shift. Yet, an unknown danger stirred within the mist, a malevolent force seeking to exploit her moment of vulnerability. "Now, Nefaria!" the stranger shouted as he slashed at snarling figures inching closer. "They sense your fear. Stand strong. Maybe it was the stranger's belief in her, or perhaps the strength of those who had come before that reignited her spirit. She took a deep breath, grounding herself in the present while embracing the rawness of her past. The shadows began to pull back. Nefaria, the voice beckoned sweetly one last time, with urgency, find me. Fueled by a ferocity unlike anything she had known, she launched herself deeper into the cloud of shadows, her sword glinting with an otherworldly light. The fight became not just about escaping the dark but seizing the opportunity to reclaim herself. Come back to me. The voice whispered as she plunged forward, slicing through the mist like a beacon, but before she could reach whatever lay beyond, a different growl rumbled through the ground, a guttural warning that reverberated into her bones, chilling her blood. An enormous creature broke through, larger than any she had faced, its eyes burning with an ancient fury. Nefaria froze, her mind racing. Was this the force that sought to devour her spirit? Or could it be what she needed to confront the demons of her past? The creature locked eyes with her, the moment stretched out, filled with unanswered questions. What lay ahead could shift the very fabric of her reality. Would she rally once more, or would this be the point of no return? As the creature lunged toward her, she felt every heartbeat echoing through the expansive void. With fury coursing through her veins, she braced for the impact, every instinct screaming one command: fight. As the monster surged toward her, a chilling rush of adrenaline shot through Nefaria. The air crackled with tension, and her heart hammered against her ribs, a caged animal desperate to escape. She gripped her sword tightly, its familiar weight grounding her in a sea of chaos, but even this comfort felt fragile. The creature was colossal, its form a symphony of sinew and shadow, muscles rippling beneath skin that shimmered with an otherworldly sheen. Towering above her, it snarled, revealing rows of jagged teeth stained crimson, surplus from countless battles. This was no mere beast, it was a twisted embodiment of her fears, each snarl steeped in the pain of her past. Remember who you are. The stranger shouted, his voice rising above the cacophony of the battlefield. Nefaria's mind flickered back to faces she had fought for, their laughter now haunting echoes in her memory. Were they still with her? Would they believe she could conquer this monstrous fate? Drawing in a deep breath, Nefaria steadied herself. The shadows began to pulse rhythmically around her, as if encouraging her persistence, wrapping her in a shroud of energy. With a fierce cry, she charged forward, wielding her sword like a beacon against the all-consuming darkness. The creature reared back, its eyes narrowing. At the last moment, Nefaria dodged to the side, feeling the rush of air as it lunged past. She used the momentary distraction to slice through the gnarled shadows crawling behind her, cutting them down with surgical precision. For each one that crumpled to the dirt, she could feel her own strength surging, each victory filling the cracks of her heart, but the monstrous figure didn't relent. It swung its huge tail like a battering ram, sending debris flying. Nefaria barely jumped aside, the force of its impact shaking the ground. She stumbled, confronting not just the external danger, but the doubts writhing within. Why won't you break? You're nothing. It growled, its voice a guttural rumble that resonated deep within her. You'll always be broken. Those words were like a blade ripping through the heart of her focus. Pain washed over her. The memories surged, images of betrayal and loss. Was it true? Would the battle ever end? No. She shouted fiercely, pacing herself against the tide of despair. My heart may be shattered, but it's mine. I will not let you take it. With renewed vigor, she plunged back into the melee, darting beneath the beast's bulk, her sword thrusting upward toward its vulnerable underbelly. But it wasn't just a fight for her life anymore. It was a resurrection of her spirit, an assertion that she would command her destiny, regardless of the shadows. The creature let out an ear-splitting roar, recoiling from her attack. Its retreat sent ripples through the darkness, briefly illuminating figures dancing just beyond the veil, a haunting reflection of her own soul, each struggling against their bonds. Fight with me. Came the voice again, now harmonizing with her heartbeat, a chorus of resilience echoing through her ears. In that moment, clarity struck. She wasn't alone, those she fought for were entangled in this struggle, and she would not let their memory fade. Sprinting forward, Nefaria met the monstrous being again. She channeled everything, the love, the betrayal, the hope, into one final strike, aimed straight at the heart of darkness, as the ground itself trembled beneath her. And as her blade cut through the air, time seemed to warp. Everything hung suspended, a single heartbeat reverberating across realms. Her eyes locked onto the creaturess, and the world fell silent, but just before the collision, a flash of light blinded her, provoking a visceral fear so deep it seized her chest. Something shifted beyond the creature, something she couldn't yet understand. It was a force both terrible and magnificent, and it opened up vast new questions within her. What awaited her on the other side of that light? Would this moment shift everything she knew? Desperation clawed at her as she raced towards whatever lay ahead. In a heartbeat, Nefaria plunged into unknown depths, the creature's roar fading into the background, replaced by a chilling silence that promised both danger and revelation. And as darkness surrounded her once more, she knew one truth: this battle was far from over. Nefaria's reality twisted, the fabric of her surroundings warping like a phantom memory. She felt herself weightless, suspended in that blinding light, as if the very essence of her spirit was being pulled apart and reassembled. Colors swirled around her, vibrant and maddening, and for a moment, she lost all sense of time. Then, just as abruptly, she landed hard. The ground cracked beneath her, sending shocks of pain through her legs. She gasped, forcing herself to sit up, her heart racing. The air was thick with tension, suffused with an eerie stillness that wrapped around her like a shroud. Rising cautiously, she surveyed her new surroundings. The landscape was barren, an expanse of shadowy earth and jagged rocks that resembled the graveyard of lost hope. A fiery sunset painted the sky blood red, casting long, sinister shadows that seemed to dance with malicious glee. "Where am I?" she whispered, her voice trembling against the oppressive silence. Ahead, she spotted something moving in the distance. She squinted, trying to make out what it was. A figure approached, silhouetted against the fiery backdrop. Nefaria's heart quickened. Was it friend or foe? As the figure drew closer, panic gripped her. It was immense, towering like the monster she just faced. But this one had a different air about it, an elegance entwined with raw power. Nefaria's instincts screamed at her to flee, but her feet remained rooted. "Do not be afraid," a voice purred, smooth yet filled with authority. The figure stepped into the light, revealing a giantess cloaked in a shimmery gown that flowed like liquid night. She had striking features, high cheekbones, deep-set eyes glittering like stars, and hair that cascaded like a waterfall of silver. Nefaria felt small and insignificant, but something in the giantess's gaze sparked a flicker of recognition. "Who are you?" Nefaria asked, her voice steadier than her racing heart. "I am Melisandre, keeper of the lost realms. You tread on a threshold few have crossed." The giantess extended an inviting hand, a gesture both regal and intimidating. "You have summoned me, and with it, the truths you seek." With hesitance, Nefaria took a step forward. "Truths? About the monster? About me?" Melisandre's expression softened, revealing a sympathy Nefaria hadn't expected. "Your heart carries the weight of battles fought and losses endured. But the shadows that haunt you are not merely echoes of the past." Nefaria's pulse quickened. Shadows? Were they more than mere memories? Somewhere deep within her, a truth stirred, but she couldn't grasp it. "Listen closely," Melisandre continued, her voice resonating like distant thunder. "The light you saw was a portal, a call to uncover the intertwined fates of your own life and the giant within you. You are not alone, Nefaria. This realm reveals your strength, but also your vulnerabilities." "The giant within me?" Nefaria echoed, confusion washing over her. "Yes," the giantess answered, each word deliberate. "To face the darkness, you must awaken the giantess that lies dormant inside. Only then can you reclaim what was taken from you." Nefaria's mind raced. "What do I have to do?" Melisandre stepped closer, her presence overwhelming yet strangely comforting. You must confront the fabrications of your fear. Face the monster not just outside, but the one deep within, the one that weighs on your spirit. Only through acceptance can you truly harness your power. As she spoke, images flooded Nefaria's mind, childhood fears, betrayals, moments she thought were buried forever. The weight of it all bore down on her, and she staggered slightly, almost losing her balance. Are you ready? Melisandre's eyes bored into Nefaria's, a challenge that ignited fire in her chest. Nefaria took a deep breath, summoning every ounce of strength she had. The path ahead was unclear, fraught with peril, but if she was to break free of her chains, this was her moment. I will embrace it, Nefaria declared, her voice ringing with conviction. I will awaken the giant. The giantess nodded, a faint smile gracing her lips. Then step forward, and let the transformation begin before the shadows descend. Nefaria took a step into the fiery glow, the ground shifting beneath her. Fear clawed at her, but so did a thrilling sense of purpose. She could feel the echoes of her past merging with something far greater. Will I be strong enough? She wondered, as everything began to whirl around her once more. A deep silence fell, and Melisandre's voice drifted behind her like the wind. Strength resides in not just fighting, but knowing who you truly are. Beware the dark path you tread, for it holds revelations that may undo you. And just like that, Nefaria was engulfed in a maelstrom of light and shadow, the brink of discovery looming perilously close. What awaited her on the other side of this new transformation? Would she truly uncover the truth of her giant spirit and what it could mean for her future? The answers were approaching fast, and she could only hope she was ready to face them. Nefaria felt herself spinning, the world around her a dizzying blur of brightness and darkness. A swirling vortex enveloped her, pulling her apart at the seams and threatening to unravel her very essence. Shadows whispered in her ears, echoes of suppressed fears and hurts flickering to life within her as the light and dark danced a chaotic tango. With a jolt, Nefaria landed on unsteady feet in what felt like a vast chamber made of shimmering obsidian. The air was cooler here, a stark contrast to the burning skies she had just left behind. She could hear distant echoes, almost like voices calling out to her, intermingled with a heavy silence that gnawed at her resolve. Where was she? Instinctively, she checked herself, every nerve tingling with trepidation. The moment she felt the ground beneath her feet, a rush of determination flooded her. I will not be afraid, she whispered to herself. I'm here to awaken the giant within. Ahead, the chamber opened into a wide expanse. Crystals hung from the high ceiling, refracting scattered light that sparked like fireworks. As her eyes adjusted, she saw figures moving in the shadows, presences dancing just outside of her peripheral vision. Anxiety pricked at her skin as she strained to catch a glimpse. Were they watching her? Were they the monsters Melisandre had warned her about? Face your fears, Nefaria, she muttered, grounding herself. They can't hurt you if you confront them. She took a step forward, gathering her courage. But then, a sharp gasp echoed through the chamber, freezing her in place. A figure emerged from the shadows. Like a mirage, it coalesced into a tall woman cloaked in a coat seemingly made of starlight. Dark hair spilled around her shoulders, framing a fierce yet compassionate expression. Do you seek the truth? The woman asked, her voice rich and smooth. There was something familiar about her. Nefaria felt a pull, a resonance within her. Yes, but I need help. I don't even know what truth I'm seeking, she admitted, trembling under the weight of uncertainty. The woman stepped closer, her eyes studying Nefaria closely. You're on the edge of awakening your true self, but be warned, truth can break as easily as it can heal. Are you prepared for what lies ahead? Suddenly, a cacophony of whispers surged through the chamber, growing louder until it became an overwhelming roar. Nefaria clutched her ears, fear surging back, heavy and suffocating. The voices twisted together in a tempest of emotion, dredging up every painful memory she had fought to bury. Enough! She shouted, forcing herself to stand tall. I am not defined by my fears. In that moment, something shifted within her. The air thickened, swirling with energy. The woman nodded slightly, a smirk playing on her lips. Yes, that it embraced the power of your voice. Nefaria's heart thudded in her chest as the whispers receded, replaced by a deep, resonating hum that reverberated through her entire being. The darkness began to peel away from her consciousness like old paint flaking from a wall, revealing the vibrant colors of her soul beneath. Do you see now? The woman's gaze was penetrating yet encouraging. The giant within you is not just a force of terrifying strength. It is a reflection of your truth, your essence. When you speak, you command respect. When you act, you inspire. But you must shed the illusions that cling to you like cobwebs. Nefaria steadied herself, feeling the warmth blossoming inside her. With a deep breath, she stepped closer to the woman. How do I awaken her? How do I truly embrace this transformation? The woman's smile widened, as if she were proud of Nefaria's tenacity. Follow me, dear one. The answers lie just beyond that threshold. She pointed to a dark archway that loomed ahead, shadows pulsating around its edges like a heartbeat. With a surge of adrenaline, Nefaria felt her resolve harden. Let us go, she said, moving forward, but as she crossed the threshold, she paused. A memory flickered, a warning. What if she wasn't strong enough? What if embracing her truth led her to darkness instead? The archway pulsed as if sensing her hesitation, the shadows deepening around her. Choose wisely, the woman said, her voice echoing in the chamber. For in this moment, you will unlock the power to reshape your destiny or fall into the abyss of your fears. Nefaria's heart raced as the shadows crawled nearer. With one last look back, she could feel the weight of her past pressing against her. Then she took a deep breath and stepped into the darkness, feeling the world shift and change around her. What awaited her on the other side? The wind howled with possibilities, and Nefaria felt her pulse quicken. Was she ready to face the truths waiting for her? Or would the very fears she sought to conquer drown her in despair? As the dark closed in, a single question loomed over her: what reality awaited her in the abyss? Nefaria's pulse drummed in her ears as she stepped through the archway. Darkness enveloped her, and the world around her felt like it was spinning on a tightrope, caught between reality and something far more sinister. A chill danced down her spine, and she braced herself, pushing against the memories swirling in her mind. As the shadows thickened around her, she felt an odd sensation like the walls themselves were alive, breathing in sync with her racing heart. They whispered secrets, tantalizing and terrifying. Who dares enter my domain? A voice boomed, shattering her thoughts. It reverberated through the archway, shaking the ground beneath her. Panic rose in her throat, but the woman's words from earlier surged back to her: face your fears. She took a trembling breath and steadied herself. I am Nefaria. I seek the truth. The sound of laughter echoed, low and haunting. From the shadows, a figure emerged, massive and imposing. At first it appeared to be a ghostly silhouette, but soon Nefaria could make out a form, tall and powerful, with eyes that glinted like shards of glass. Truth. It hissed, the amusement woven into its tone. What do you think truth will give you? It is a weapon that cuts both ways. Nefaria squared her shoulders, refusing to back down. Then let it cut. I am ready. I want to let my past dictate my future. The figure stepped closer, the air crackling with tension. The light coalesced to reveal the beast, a woman forged from darkness and starlight, wounds visible across her skin like scars etched by battles fought. Foolish girl. You think strength lies in choices? Strength lies in acceptance, in understanding what you are willing to sacrifice. Each word pierced through Nefaria like arrows. Could she really accept everything about herself, the darkness and the light? Her heart pounded harder in her chest, and a lump formed in her throat. What must I sacrifice? She breathed, the weight of the question hanging in the air. The giant woman studied her, a flicker of something unrecognizable flashing in her eyes. What you hold dear. Your illusions of safety. Your distaste for pain. 1,000 memories flooded Nefaria's mind faces, moments of joy snatched away by fear. The giantess words resonated deep within her. Her conquered fears and long-buried regrets clawed at her resolve, but she pushed them to the side. I've fought too hard to let go now. I won't fall back into darkness. I choose to embrace whoever I truly am. Foolish girl, the giant sneered again, yet there was a hint of admiration in her gaze. Then venture further. Discover if it is indeed you who controls your destiny or if that destiny controls you. As she stepped deeper into the chamber, Nefaria felt it shift again, the ground trembling beneath her feet. The air grew heavy with anticipation, thickening the tension as she turned to the towering figure. What awaits me? With a toothy grin, the giant whispered, the heart of your truth or your greatest fear. You choose the path. Nefaria nodded, a mix of determination and dread flickering across her face. Just then, the chamber erupted around her, jagged fissures appearing in the floor as shadows twisted and stretched towards her. She could feel the overpowering urge of the abyss beckoning her, an abyss filled with memories of pain, heartbreak, and regret. The decision loomed like a gaping maw. Was she ready to venture into the darkness that had haunted her all her life? Will you awaken the giant within, Nefaria? Echoed the voice of the giant as the world spun chaotic once more, with her heart pounding louder than ever. Nefaria stepped forward. I must. As she plunged into the shadows, a chilling realization struck her, perhaps the fight for her truth had just begun. Deep down, a question nestled into the pit of her stomach, swirling with the shadows. What darkness awaited her beyond the light she sought? A sudden roar filled the space, shaking her to her core. It was the sound of what lay just ahead, a force that could either help her thrive or trap her forever. Was she truly ready? The answer remained as elusive as the shadows surrounding her. In that blinding darkness, Nefaria felt the weight of her choices pressing heavily against her chest. She couldn't tell if she was trapped in a nightmare or awakening to a truth she had long buried. Every step forward echoed with the voices of her past, the laughter of love's lost, the bitter sting of betrayal, the crushing pain of abandonment. But amidst those haunting echoes, something sparked a flicker of empowerment waiting to be unleashed. Nefaria steadied herself against the chaotic whirlwind inside her. I am not defined by my pain, she murmured, recalling Melisandre's words. She took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of her own heart strengthen with her resolve. I will confront my truth. With fierce determination, she plunged deeper into the shadows. The darkness pulled at her, but as she moved through it, she could feel the giantess within her awakening, stretching and straining against the confines of fear. Shadows clawed at her ankles, whispering dark promises meant to sap her strength, but she pushed back, summoning memories of love and hope. Suddenly, the air shifted. Light flickered through the gloom, and ahead, she saw the outline of a colossal door, gnarled and weathered, an entrance to the heart of her truth. As she approached, the portal swung wide open with a menacing creak, exposing a chamber filled with swirling mists and blinding light, contrasting the darkness that had enveloped her. Step forward, Nefaria, a voice resonated strong, commanding. The giantess figure from moments before reappeared, now wreathed in divine luminosity, her expression both threatening and oddly soothing. This is the heart of your truth. Nothing can hurt you here unless you let it. Nefaria's pulse quickened. What do I have to face? She demanded, her voice trembling yet defiant. It's not just the darkness you fear but the light that reveals it, replied the giantess, her voice echoing with ancient wisdom. To awaken your true power, you must face every shadow and every hope that makes you whole, your passions and your despairs. Nefaria nodded. She had fought too hard to turn back now that as she stepped into the brilliant light, visions burst before her, images of her past intertwined with what could have been. She saw her lost love, his smile bright against the sorrow. His betrayal twisted against the tapestry of her happiness, sharp and painful. This is only a part of me, she shouted, thrusting her hands out. You don't define my destiny. The figures around her shifted, and from the mists emerged faces she had long feared to confront: betrayers, allies, and the echoes of laughter turned bitter. As they drew closer, their wails transformed into pleading, "Forgive us, we never meant to hurt you." In an instant, she realized the power of forgiveness lay not solely with them, but within herself. It was hers to wield. Nefaria closed her eyes, envisioning every wound and heartache becoming threads of understanding. "I forgive you," she declared, her voice strong and unwavering. "But I also forgive myself for letting your choices define my worth." With those words, she felt a surge of energy swell within her, the pulsating rhythm of her heart harmonizing with the world around her. The shadows recoiled, the figures began to fade, and the brilliant light enveloped her, raw and relentless. In the depths of her spirit, she felt a shift. The giantess her mother spoke about, the power that lay dormant inside, was awakening. "You are a force of nature," the giantess proclaimed, her voice resonating through every fiber of Nefaria's being. "Embrace it. Stand tall, and rage against the darkness, for it will no longer bind you." The kaleidoscope of visions shattered like glass, fragments flying in every direction. And with each shard, Nefaria felt the heaviness lift from her soul. Her sword gleamed with newfound splendor, radiating strength she had long thought lost. "Who is afraid now?" she cried, the sound reverberating throughout the chamber, summoning power from the depths of her giant heart. In that moment, Nefaria stood transformed, a symbol of unyielding spirit. Now she could take hold of her destiny, grappling not just with her past but launching towards an expansive future where she was no longer just a footnote in someone else's story. Now she was the author of her own epic saga. With courage surging through her veins, she stepped boldly into the world outside the chamber, free to explore a life of passion, love, and renewed hope. As she stepped into that light, she left behind the remnants of fear and chose to embrace the strength within, a true giant among giants. As the mist cleared, whispers faded, and the shadows dissipated, Nefaria took a deep breath, savoring the freedom of being awash in her truth. And just like that, the tale of the female giants transformed from one of sorrow and loss to a legend of strength, resilience, and love. Now it was time to share her story, to gather the legacies of those who came before and those who would follow during this exhilarating journey of empowerment. If you felt the echoes of Nefaria's tale resonate, make sure you subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories of triumph. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and keep these powerful tales alive. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about Nefaria's incredible journey. We want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this electrifying conclusion. Together, we can keep the spirit alive.